Hello everybody. I found a nice sweet spot for my video card. And no, I'm not at 4K right now. I'm at 1800p. And that's how I'm going to have to play this game. And at 1800p and 4K, it's barely noticeable on my monitor. My monitor does have sharpening, upscaling, and it makes the image look better if it's at a lower resolution.
This place has seen better days.
So here I'm getting 60 some frames per second, 64, 61, and it'll dip to low 50s. But I optimized some of the settings in my. I just went to high on some of the settings instead of ultra. And I do have ray tracing enabled, just the reflections. And I think I'd play at this resolution just because I can get a 60 frames per second usually. And I found that the flora areas are more intense on the GPU or on the system than the hog meats area. My computer can handle hog meats area pretty well. I get probably 60 some frames per second there. Here I dip down to 50 some, 59 it was at one point. And I am using upscaling. Let's just show you the settings. I'm using Intel XCS. I'm upscaling 77%. It's because FSR has only a quality setting and it'd be 60 some percent. Let's look at it. 67% for FSR2. And for Intel XeSS, it's 77% upscaling, which is better. Effects quality, I've chose to high. Foliage quality, I switched to high because I was noticing my foliage areas are the place where it's struggling the most. Shadow quality is to high because there's hardly any difference. View distance is high and population quality is high. Ray trace reflections is on high. So these are the settings that I would play at right now, just so I can get ray trace reflections enabled. And I do have chromatic aberration on. But anyway, the game is better at a 60 frame per second or 50 some plus frames per second. And I'll go into the castle, maybe we'll see some reflections. Usually takes, look at my system memory is using 39.1 gigs of RAM. That's not all the game. I've got a whole bunch of launchers in the background, the EA launcher, the Steam launcher, the Ubisoft launcher, and I'm using 22 gigs of VRAM. What I did install was the Ascendio 3 mod, that does a frames per second fix. And this scene needs loading, I notice when I come into here. Can't kill a ghost. See, it did dip down to 40 frames per second. That's because the scene was loading. So this is the castle. I get about 69, 61 frames per second here. Let's just run around here for a little bit. And yeah, I did say on my monitor has those sharpening abilities for lower resolutions other than 4K. But I enable it on 4K anyways. So it's sharpening up 4K as well, so it looks really nice at 4K, but 1800p and 4K is not that much of a difference. But if it gives way better frame rate, I'm just going to run to hog meat. Here dip below 58 frames per second here, probably because of the fog. And plus I'm running faster. I know that I imagine if I'm on the broom, I don't know if my character has the broom yet, but here I'm down to the low 50s to 59 frames per second.
I received an owl from her just the other day, and as for her affection, I can assure you, it is well and
But yeah, my system is using about 40 gigs of RAM. I'm glad I got 64 gigs of RAM recently. I'm noticing that I am using a little over 32 gigs of RAM in some games. People say it's useless, but it's not. It's nice to have all those files in the RAM as a cache. Makes the system a little bit more responsive. I am actually not using 20 gigs of RAM, so it's 20. If you could get 48 gigs of RAM, it'd be even more better for you. Two 24 gig strips. See if I can jump up here. He's a pretty agile guy. Yeah, I might test Alan Wake out at 1800p as well, see if I can get a better frame rate.
Don't be stingy.
He's doing levitation. Interesting. So in hog meats, it's supposed to be more CPU intensive, but the 5800 X3D can handle hog meats area pretty well. Now I'm using over 40 gigs of RAM. And I like the way the game looks at this resolution. I don't think... Yeah, to change the resolution, you gotta change your desktop resolution and then restart the game. So that's just how it is in this game. So yeah, the reflections look pretty good from high. On the ground here, on the floor, I can see the reflections. And I didn't notice anything going from ultra to high. But yeah, so this is... And don't forget, I have the Ascendio 3 mod enabled. So that performs some fixes.
Greetings. Please, take your time looking about.
And yeah, so that's about it for this game. Let's see if I can... Oh, level 3 unlock. I knocked over the sheep. Now it's running away. I thought it disappeared, but he just fell in deep grass. And that is it for this video. I'll definitely be testing out Alan Wake at 1800p, see if I can get ray tracing going on in that game, but I doubt it. Ray tracing is too much of a slideshow. And now I'm just running around looking at the graphics because I like it. Okay, and that's it. Using 22 gigs of VRAM and 40.3 gigs of system memory.
Revelio.
That's a lot.